Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at SoberCoffeePod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Just two guys on the road to recovery.
What's up, my brother?
Hey,
I know
I
get so enthused, man, coming in here and
I know you seem to have an extra bounce in your step this morning. Extra caffeine?
No, I've only had 2 cups so far this morning, and no, man, I did a little thing last night.
You did a little thing.
Yeah, we did an episode a little while ago about the tank being empty, and man, it's just amazing. I'm glad we did that because it really, for those that haven't heard it, go back and listen to it because we always don't have a full tank.
No,
and the things that came out of that episode is, number one, recognize it. Mm-hmm. Number 2, it really matters the fuel that you use to fill the tank. Mm-hmm. And what I realized from that in the next couple of days, I mean, I was probably at, 32nd of a tank.
Yeah, you're running on fumes, trying to get to the gas station.
I had 0 miles to empty.
Right.
And I was rushing for the tank, and it was amazing. After literally the next day, I think I texted you. I said I was 70% or 80%. So that was just super valuable. But I get, when we started. In fact, I texted you last night the picture of our of our podcast dinner.
Throw that up on Instagram.
I will during COVID. And that's when we sat down during COVID, and we like, man, this world's disconnected. How can we help one person? And that's always been
That's the goal.
And we've hit that because we've helped you, we've helped me.
Yeah, right. We're done. We're done. Check. Hey, by the way,
we can quit.
Shout out to Cheryl, part of our listening community, and she journeys along with us as well. She sent a real nice email this week, and just it's good to know that other people. She says she listens to it, a few times a week or whatever, because we got archived, we got them all up on YouTube and all the other podcast platforms. But it's nice to hear back. So if you're listening and you haven't dropped us a note lately, drop us a note. It's good to hear you. And good,
it's podcast at Sober.Coffee. That's the whole email address. Yeah. And what we will ensure is that we will keep your anonymity.
Exactly.
Because, a lot of times, the email addresses have people's names.
Right.
It's not dogwalker99 at Gmail. It's people's names.
Tell me one of your funniest emails you ever had. Email addresses.
That I ever had?
Yeah.
I always use my name.
Poochie, you never use Poochie Pooch 737 at...
Oh, no. Oh, okay. The only one I've ever used besides my name is G-Man.
G-Man.
And my last name.
Okay. All right.
No, that's it. No, it's great. It's great coming in here. My tank is no longer empty. But last night, I sat down and, it was really fulfilling. I mean, about an hour I spent, and my daughter is 28 and lives in Santa Monica. And she sent me a song, right? And she goes, "Hey," she goes, "I'm thinking of a daddy-daughter dance song for my make-believe wedding." Because she's been dating this guy for 5 years. He's really cool. So I listened to the song and engaged with it. It was awesome. It brought a couple tears to my eyes. It's just our redemptive story. Yeah. And then I was going through pictures. And because I was trying to find a picture of her when I drove her out. It was so I was probably 4 years sober. It was one of the first real activities I did with her. And I drove her from Missouri to L.A.
Oh, my God.
Cross country.
That's a long ride.
It was great. It was 3 days. And I took a picture of her standing on the Grand Canyon. Right? So her song is from the Dixie Chicks. And it just talks about a girl, leaving and scared and trying to find her way in life, and that's what she was doing, and so I sent her that picture, and then I started thumbing through pictures,
and then you found the one of us.
Well, I mean, and then so one of my it's going to get bad. One of my funeral songs is Pictures of You. And it's 8 minutes long, and I've got a file in my phone of all my pictures that I'm going to show along with that song at my funeral. So I was going through, and I'm like, if you go through the day-to-day, right, you look at day-to-day, but if you stop, it's almost like the tapestry. If you stop for a minute and go back and just look, and I look at the pictures that are so powerful, right, like that picture of us. I mean, we're here 5+ years later, 300 some episodes. We've never missed. I mean, that's for an alcoholic. I mean, are you proud of that?
I'm very, very.
I mean, we have never missed. When you were in the throes of heavy drinking, did you ever miss anything?
All the time. It was so funny.
Daily.
So this morning I'm on the way, and all of a sudden traffic came to it on I-80 came to a dead stop, and I'm like, okay, this is bad because they weren't even moving, and I looked at the clock. I pulled it up.
A police escort,
right? And my point was, Glenn, I left early, to adjust for any incident that might happen on the road.
And boom.
That I never would have done that before. I would have left late, and then that would have been the disaster because I think I just magnated the chaos, and so I missed a lot. I was late a lot. That was my MO.
I was never late.
Really?
I just never showed up.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't.
Late.
No, I would look at my day. I would wake up and I'd be drunk, and I'd look at my day, and I'd say, okay, I'll drink again today. Tomorrow I'll start. And then that day would be gone. And anything I had going for that day, I would just wipe out. I was sick. I was mad. I make 100 excuses. And, but, hey, the one thing I do want to bring up is, did you have a point?
No, I was just going to say, I was going to ask you, have you forgiven yourself of that?
Oh, is that our topic? Forgive.
But and it was like perfect.
Well, let's get on that. But I want to say, as much as we pat ourselves on the back and recognize our 5+ years of not missing, there is somebody else in the room.
Amen to that.
Who has gone
Never
5+
missed.
years
That's
and
right.
has put up with us.
That's right. Brian, our engineer.
Brian at Audio Hive, and I remember the first phone call, right? He was like the only person that ever responds to an internet, forum.
You know why? Because I don't think he sleeps.
I don't think he does either. I mean, he was rolling in this morning, ready to go. But Brian, thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
You have never missed, and Brian has had his challenges. Brian doesn't live a perfectly rosy life. He's going through challenges right now. Yet, you know what?
Yeah,
he just doesn't miss.
Yeah.
So thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
It's a good lesson, man. It's a good lesson.
Yeah.
Okay. So our topic.
So my question to you was, okay, you were always late, or you didn't show up. How did you find a way to forgive yourself of that? Because I look back at my life and I go, man, I missed some real opportunities, not only professional but personal opportunities. And how did you come to terms with forgiving yourself of those moments that you'll never get back?
So, great question. I think first of all, forgiving myself for that was about 20th on the list.
Really?
I got a lot more priority ways to forgive myself than that. I mean, just missing and being late, that sucks. But I did some monumental damage. So our topic this morning is forgiveness, and it's a great segue. But what did you like before you got sober? How did you look at forgiveness? Like forgiving other people.
Yeah, no,
or people forgiving you. Let's break it apart.
Yeah,
before you got sober, how did you look at it?
Let's start by saying things were murky then, right? And so everything was murky, dark, and cloudy, right? Everything. My outlook on life, the outlook on the day. There was never a sunshine day. It was Groundhog's Day, and it was murky and blurry. And so I didn't pay too much attention to my misgivings, right? To my under delivery, but I
to how you damaged others.
Yes, that's right. But how they damaged me, I would flare up on that. I mean, I had a wick with flame at both ends. I mean, I was a ticking time bomb, And
So short fuse.
Short fuse, yeah. And yeah, I would say I held on to little things, medium things, and big things, and they all became big things to me. And so, I would drink over it. I would tell myself I was laughing it off, but I was drinking over it.
So that was. So how did you change? So that's, let's put down the shelf there.
Right.
How do you look at forgiveness today?
Well,
and then how'd you get from point A to point B?
I would say you were kind of instrumental in that, and I'll tell you why. Because forgiveness, I know, is a critical piece of being healthy. I don't forget about we were drunks and now we're not. Why? Because it tears you up inside. It tears you up inside, and the other person doesn't even really know. I think, and most of the time, I mean, they're going on with their life. Maybe they're a destructive person, maybe they're not, maybe they're passive. But I just took something they said the wrong way. Whatever. The fact of the matter is that I don't. Here's where you came in over our years of our relationship, and you modeled this notion that if you have been forgiven to the magnitude you have, then shouldn't that forgiveness apply to those that have done you wrong? And really, you model that not only in words but in actions, because I know you well enough to know that you're not holding things back. You're providing the grace that you were given. And I think that's kind of where I'm at now too. And there's a prayer, everyone who's listening, I don't care what their faith is, the prayer, right? It's the Our Father. And I live by the line in there that says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And forgive us of my shortcomings, just as is the word, as we forgive those who trespass against us, right? So, I don't know. That was a little long-winded.
No, I think, thank you. It gave me a chance to eat my donut.
Well, let me go on then.
No.
There's still 5 in the box.
Yeah, there are. So, I'm like you. When I was drinking, I didn't know I never. No, I can remember one time saying I'm sorry, and I really messed up bad. I hurt my wife at the time, and I'm not sure if I was sorry. I think I was truly sorry.
Oh, I just said it.
But back then, sorries were helped me get out of it.
Right.
But I think with that instance, I was behaving in a way that was unlike my core. And my core was buried. My core was buried in ego. My core was buried in booze. My core was buried with a lot of things. But what I did hit my core, and it shook me. So that was the only thing I can remember. Besides that, I was king. I didn't owe you an apology for anything. Mm-hmm. I didn't care what I did. I used you to get what I wanted. And then, AA started. My true surrender to AA, right? And they always say AA messes with your drinking. Mm-hmm. Once you go to AA, you don't drink like you used to because your brain, you're not doing something you're not supposed to be doing. Right. Well, AA also messes with your living, right? Because if you learn a new way to live and you hear a new way to live and you're really committed to that, living the old way, doesn't feel as good, and it's really recognizable. So what I learned, and I'm trying to think how to lay this out, right? Do I lay out the end and then go back? And I think I'll do that. So for me, forgiveness is a superpower. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. The power of forgiveness. For a number of reasons. Number one, going through, my surrender, my commitment to spirituality, true north, finding out real God, unlearning all the religious bullshit, and embracing spirituality, and the God that is full of love and embracing and forgiveness, right? And then I, part of that was learning, stories, from this thing called the Bible, the true big book. And there's so much forgiveness, right? There's a prodigal son story, right? There's, loving on the woman at the well, man, the whore at the well that had 5 husbands and sleeping, and Jesus leaned in, man, and I love those 2 stories in particular because that was me. I needed that. I was the whore. I was the prodigal son, and I needed that. So that was my first kind of test of forgiveness, as I felt the forgiveness of God. Then, if you work the AA steps, you got steps 8 and 9, right? You have some good stories of steps 8 and 9. Have you finished all yours yet?
No.
All right.
Nope, I've still got some out there.
All right. But you have some good stories. Mm-hmm. People have forgiven you, right? I have some amazing stories from, my 2 daughters to a business relationship to the IRS. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have just some massive stories. And so if you look at the forgiveness of God and you understand that, and then you go through steps 8 and 9, and you realize amazing levels of forgiveness that I didn't deserve, right? I think that's called grace, right? Mm-hmm. I think there's another word I can't remember, but I think it's called, I didn't deserve that forgiveness. Those people should have said, man, absolutely not. Mm-hmm. My ex-wife, who I crushed her. And she so lovingly forgave me, right? So when I got through that experience, I really carried the weight of regret, remorse, and drove shame, and over time that lightened, but it was still there. But after you see those 2, God and others, I mean, it became a lot easier and understandable to forgive myself.
Well, I think the forgiveness thing, one thing that really stuck with me as you were talking was the, I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry are just 2 simple words. My grandmother used to tell me being sorry doesn't help, right? And I never knew what that meant, but I do now, right? What it means. And steps 8 and 9 don't talk about saying you're sorry. Steps 8 and 9 talk about amends.
Change and amends.
Right. So you're
So what you're saying is words don't matter.
If you got nothing to back it up, absolutely. Right. She was right 100%.
I just saw this week. It says, words without action are manipulation.
Yeah, right. There you go.
So, I mean, that's true, right?
Yeah, right. So yeah, I mean, here's the question I have for you. Okay, so to me, I have levels of hurt that have been done to me, right? Mm-hmm. There's the minor stuff. And so I'm not even delving into forgiving myself because when we talk about,
have you forgiven yourself?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
Positively.
You know what, man? I wish people could see your face when you said that.
Right.
It was so emphatic.
Right. And we are here where we are with a beautiful story to tell, and so why rain on that parade? But I have these different levels of things, and nothing really happens to me where I don't expose myself today for real hurt. I mean, I guess it could happen. It could blindside me. But there were things in my life that people did that I really was angry about, right? And I had to come to a way, those level 3s, I really had to come to a way to forgive them when the hurt was so very deep. And I think most people experience this somewhere in their childhood. It might not be physical abuse. It could be mental abuse. It could be one thing that one parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, friend said to them in their formative years that really stuck with them and really hurt them, right? And so that was my case anyway. So I had to find a way to retroactively forgive that person in that scenario in my life. And that took some investigating for me to do. We talked about this the other night in our group that we get together with on Monday nights. And
it's funny how we just talked about that. We just explored deeply. Yeah.
And I had to go through. I had to find a modeling that would work for me, and I did. The answer was right around me. I just had to pay attention to it. So
all right. So I'm going to bounce back a couple things that you said. One, can you explain to me the levels again? You started talking about that.
Yeah, the guy cuts you off. He's not even a level, right? But then you get somebody who you lend money to and they don't pay you back, and which I got a whole new attitude about that now. When I lend
it's called
money,
donation.
Yeah, that's what I do. When I lend money, I have zero expectation
Right.
that it's going to
That's
come
the
back.
same with me.
But so that might be a level one. Somebody says something to me that really bites me to my core. That might be a level two. Somebody really, really hurts me emotionally, financially. I'll give you one example. I'm going to try and keep the anonymity close here, but I had somebody say something out on social media about me negatively.
I'm sorry for that, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Come to pieces now. But that really hurt because you can't take that back.
Right.
Right. And it wasn't true. So I really had to find a way to process forgiveness to this person, and I did. And that's a level 3. That
Do you
was
know
a
the
level
person?
3. Yes, very close with this person. Yeah.
All right.
And
Did you talk to them about it?
no, I never have.
Yeah. That helps.
No.
All right, so now I understand your levels. But then you said something I'm not sure the word's challenge, but I'm going to explore this with you. You said you're very guarded today.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The way I interpreted that was you've set up shields or guardrails or walls, to use the big word, walls around you. To me, I what I heard was you are very limited about how you let people in so you don't get hurt.
Can I tell you the secret sauce?
Yeah.
It's who I'm surrounded by. So I used to be out there, and now my social core is very safe. I'm surrounded by a lot of AA people. I'm surrounded by a lot of family.
All right.
So when I was out there before, I was exposing myself to people being mean. But the people I hang with today, they're not mean. And things aren't.
No, they're positive people.
Yeah, I don't need to forgive things. It's usually people I need to forgive. It's the people that I need to forgive. And so today I'm surrounded by great people. I mean, I'm in a safe zone.
Yeah, so when you first said that, I heard guarded.
Like if I was hanging at a bar,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the guy 3 seats over from me, we could end up in a fist fight, right? Because I had Irish muscles when I could end up in a fist fight, and then I could have a resentment against him. I'm not hanging out in bars. I'm hanging out with people at AA that are working on their lives and understand things like forgiveness and love and peace and right.
Totally understand that. So when you first said it, I looked at like you were setting up a limited life to protect yourself. And what I first heard was, if you're going to protect yourself like that, I think there's a level of life that you miss.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. I'm glad, man. Yeah. I'm glad I circled back.
Yes, absolutely. I'm forging ahead. Life is beautiful. Life is absolutely. I have no idea what's going to roll out today. I got a big day today with a lot of family, and I don't know how my expectations are 0, but it's mapped out to be a really, really good day. But I'm in a safe zone.
Yeah, that's awesome. So. Again, I know forgiveness is superpower. So they always say resentments lead to the next drink, right? Mm-hmm. I think resentments and forgiveness go, if you forgive people, here's what I know. Forgiveness, and let's take the extreme. I think I said this on Monday night in our group. Take the pendulum swing, right? And you see these court cases where a dude killed somebody's daughter.
Yeah, right.
And they get up in court and you can tell it's not bullshit. You can tell it's real. I forgive you. Mm-hmm. Now, what I know is that shovels all that emotional weight, all the resentments. That's a driver for peace in life. Now, doesn't mean you lay down and take it over and over again, right? You can sit there and say, look, I forgive you for doing that to me, but I'm going to change my password so you can't go on my bank account anymore. I forgive you for stealing $100 from me, Or, I got people out in the internet and I help them, with cash and every now and then. there's a limit. There's a line. There's a guy right now. I forget exactly how much he owes me, and I don't really care because it's a donation, right? The guy was living in his car, and God bless me, and I'm gonna people were there when I needed help, right? So I've helped him, and he keeps saying, "I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back." He kept, "Hey, I need 15. I need 10. I need 12. And he drip ship. Finally, I said to him, I'm like, "Look, again, I had zero
expectation, money back.
Zero stress over it, and I didn't really need to forgive him, right? Because I understood it, right? But I drew a guardrail and I said, look, man, I wish you the absolute best. The bank is closed, and I said it very peacefully, lovingly. The guy out in L.A., I did the same thing, and he got all pissed off at me. And I'm like, dude, you're homeless for 2 years, right? I've been trying to coach you. I've been trying to get resources for you, and you haven't done a single thing. No sweat.
Right.
Bank is closed, and right. So I think it's very. I think when it's a superpower, one thing we've always talked about is the emotional weight, right? Of all the shit that you did in your life, and when you get sober and go into AA, at least for us, and some people say AA doesn't work. Feel sorry for them. But when you work the steps, you start to unload, and then steps 4 and 5, you unload. Steps 8 and 9, you unload. Almost, man, you got to clean. If you do it right, you got to clean street. And there's nothing better in life being 50 years old, 55 years old, and having a clean street, or 30 years old, right? And then learning how to live so you keep that street. And forgiveness is certainly part of that. But the one thing I want to do is point out there's a story in the real big book called the Bible. And it sounds like I'm a Bible thrower, and maybe I am, but where this guy owes the king, and I just read an interpretation of it. A guy owed the king like $1 billion, and how in the world you owe somebody $1 billion back then? I have no idea, right? But he owed the king like about $1 billion, right? And he was all stressed about it. So he goes to the king, and the king forgave him the $1 billion, and the guy's life, oh, man, this is great. So he goes home, and his neighbor owed him about the equivalent of $100. And he crushed his neighbor over the $100, sent the neighbor to jail, debtor's jail, And the king called him in and said, look, man. So the way I look at that, I really take that story to heart, because when I look at the shit that I did, that I was forgiven for by God, for others, and I look at, I am so easy to forgive other people today. In fact, Jen says to me many times, she goes, man, how do you let stuff like that just roll off? I'm like, well, what's the value of hanging on? Now, I set up guardrails so I don't get spanked again, or, some guardrails have entrances, because of relationships, but I'm like, I screwed up so much, and I did so much damage, and I have been forgiven of $1 billion. How am I going to crush somebody over $100? Right? And I think that's one of the most. I think that's a key that opens the superpower. Is, and part of that, you got to have a serving mentality. I got to live for you, right? And I got to care about. My definition of love is I care about your well-being more than I do my own. But it just becomes so freeing. We don't have to carry all that shit around.
So, I'm going to go there. I'm just going to go there here.
Go, man. Go. Let's go. I don't know where you're going, but...
So, when I was a young boy, I was physically, sexually abused. Okay?
Never knew that.
And I know, I can't believe I'm saying it. I mean, it's a secret that I kept for years and years, and I drank over it, And I carried a lot of guilt and shame and remorse on my part, and I carried a lot of anger as I grew older against the relative that did this, right? I mean, I drank over it. There's no doubt about it. There was a lot of stuff that happened in my childhood.
Totally understand, man.
But a lot of it happened because I was rebelling out. I was weird after it happened, right? And so I compounded the problem. Now, here's the one good thing, and I want to say, and I'm so grateful for this, the abuse history stopped right there. There's no way I could have turned around and done that to somebody else, right? But that's a topic for another.
No, that is a topic for another.
Here's the thing.
That's amazing, by the way.
Here's the thing. I had AA taught me, and the Bible taught me, I had to forgive this man of doing this. I had to forgive him because it was tearing me up inside. Even after I got sober, it was still a weight on my shoulder. And when I did my fourth step, there it was. When I did my resentments, there it was, blazing clear as day. If I didn't, I would probably drink again. Glenn, I don't want to drink again. So on that premise that I never want to drink again, I had to figure out a process that I actually forgave. Not just said the words, but actually not just said, hey, I forgive you, even though he's dead. I had to process this, Glenn, because, and I'm telling you, earlier on we're talking, and yes, my face is, I have no regrets. And that's one of the no regrets I have. Going through the process of forgiving him was key to my mental health today. Key to my mental health. And so when we talk about things, so then the other thing is, everything else comes into perspective. So somebody cuts me off, somebody does me wrong, somebody says something on social media, that my basis of comparison is, it wasn't as bad as it was. Right?
Do you literally think that?
I literally think that.
I mean, do you actively think that today, or is it just part of an instinct at this point?
I think it's an instinct.
Yeah,
I think it's an instinct.
I think if you look at it enough, it becomes an instinct.
Here's the thing: there is a forgiveness prayer in the back of. There's a book called the Sermon on the Mount, and it's by Emmett Fox. And in the back of the book, it's either page 157 or 175. There's a little forgiveness prayer there, and a guy from AA gave me the book. Sermon on the Mount. It's in our resource room, I believe. And I prayed this prayer for this relative of mine. I mean, I had to go deep. And in AA they say be fearless and thorough. I had to clean this up, Glenn, because if I didn't clean it up, there was always going to be a danger that I would turn back to something to blur my mind. And maybe it wouldn't be drugs and alcohol, maybe it'd be gambling, maybe it'd be Amazoning, whatever it was. I had to clear that up. So I wanted to say that because I think when we talk about things like forgiveness, does it really play out in real world scenarios that are really impactful in the person's life? And I just hope that if somebody else is listening, if they had a problem with a relative, or they were sexually abused or physically abused or mentally abused, that I'm here to say that my life transformed when I actually forgave that person. Not just stood up in front of a court and said, yeah, well, they killed my wife and 2 kids and I forgive them. I want to know from that person, for that person, that they have actually forgiven. Because when you hit that point, it transforms your life.
Yeah, so a couple things. One is that court case, right? Over time, I've learned what forgiveness looks like and kind of the reaction to it, right? Kind of, and so I remember, through life you hear about these people that forgive the people that kill their family members, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit. Like, there's no way you forgive that, right? But if you watch them and you feel the peace with which they communicate that, and the other surrounding actions, you're like, wow, right? But that's the actions, not words, right? Mm-hmm. So, your childhood situation, did you ever have a chance to confront that person?
No.
Okay.
They died before I was old enough.
Have you done any sort of, I don't want to use the word ritual, but have you done anything like go to a gravesite, wrote a letter, that type of thing? Or
no,
was it prayer-based?
I said that prayer, and that was it.
Okay, awesome.
It was a one-time prayer. And
God, that's amazing how this shit works.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But I had to want that, because I wanted a better life. I didn't want to be carrying that shit around all with me. It was killing me, literally.
Yeah. So I think I've got the right prayer. I'd like to read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then if we could add an administrative task to your list, put up in the resource
Yeah,
room.
sure.
But prayer for forgiveness. Dear loving Lord, is this it?
Mm-hmm.
Dear loving Lord, I can hardly even bring myself into your presence. When I think of what I've done, I've hurt myself and others. I've gone against you. I feel so wretched. It's so hard to pray now. Will you forgive me? Is it possible? Let me know, O Lord, that it's not about me or my behavior, but it's about your Son, taking it all upon him to redeem me, to purify me. This is his work alone. This is why he came. Oh, dear Lord, let it pierce my heart and let my heart be changed. Please forgive me. Please have mercy. Pour out the blood of Christ over me. Cleanse me, Jesus, with your sweet love and holy name. Amen.
And that was the prayer of forgiveness for myself to that 9-year-old boy. But then there's another prayer in there where it cues it up to forgive the perpetrator. And I'll post that in the resource room as well. And anybody who wants it, they can email us, and we'll get the copy out to them.
Yeah, it's amazing. I you're sharing that is heavy, but it's also freeing.
It is freeing. Most people don't know that about me.
Yeah.
But I felt that it was appropriate to share that now. It's not something I do with a bullhorn on a corner. But I know people have been hurt, and I know I'm not the only one. I learned that over life, too. I'm not the only one. But I'm one of the few that has gotten past it.
Yeah, so exploratory question here,
yeah.
Through your life, would that haunt you daily, weekly, monthly?
Daily. Yeah. And because
so it became who you were.
Was. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And did you blame yourself for it?
Absolutely. I blame, but here's because I was blaming 30-year-old Mike, right? So at 30, I was still living deep in it. I'm drinking over it, and I'm blaming 30-year-old Mike for allowing it to happen. Wait a minute. No, Mike was 8.
Right.
So I had to.
Mike had nothing to do with it.
I had to go back and forgive 8-year-old Mike because 8-year-old Mike was under pressure. There was nothing he could do, and so I had to. Right? Does that make sense?
But you blame yourself when it.
Right.
Wasn't your fault.
Right, exactly.
That's the equation,
It is. It's really screwed up, but I guess my message.
I'm glad to hear where you're at today.
The message is a message of hope because shit happens.
Right.
Shit happens and sin happens. And this was somebody else sinning on me, and I absolutely had to get bust through this. I had to bust through it because.
Were they ever caught or anything?
No.
Or no?
No.
Yeah, that's the tough part. Is a lot of people aren't caught.
Right.
But
that's the tough part. The good part is there's hope on the other side of that trade.
Oh, absolutely. And man, I'll tell you what, I am very confident you're going to help one person with that.
I hope so. It's been
really,
a good episode, man.
I really do. Hey, you know what? I'm going back to what I said in the beginning. Forgiveness is a superpower. Mm-hmm. To be forgiven is one of the special things in this life. And to forgive others is also special, and it keeps your side of the street without a lot of weight on it. Especially when, we haven't said this yet, but especially when you're all pissed off and they're sleeping like a baby at night.
Right. Sure. Right. I love you. Go
all
sleep
right,
like a baby tonight.
All right.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, man.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@Sober.Coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.
Stay safe in the city of Chicago.